What's going on, everybody? John here with you. I hope you guys are doing well. I'm going to post date this for Monday, February 17th, because I had a lot of Four Nation stuff to cover with Alec Nava and then the Sharks doubleheader this weekend. I want to make sure to get this video out while it's still fresh in my mind and just finishing it, really, just on Valentine's Day morning. So it's quite a treat. And I really want to talk about Persona 3 Reload, because if you notice anything on my video side, the last thing I did for Persona, I think, was 5 Strikers, and that's more of a spin-off game. So let's just talk about Persona in general. So the way that it works, if you followed any Shin Megami Tensei games, you go ahead into a battle that's turn-based, and you take out the enemy's weaknesses to get more attacks, and that's pretty much the way that it works. But Persona is a little bit different in the sense of you get the social interactions with your teammates, you get their storylines, you build up relationships, whether you want to be friends or lovers, and everything else, and then you use your social links or bonds to go ahead and get farther in the game and get the endings that you need to get. So no different changes as far as being able to need to follow a guide. And thankfully, as I can tell you, when I initially played this in 2007, it was more of a rental. That was just Persona 3 on PS2. Didn't get a chance to experience everything that I wanted to, so my initial full playthrough of this game was Persona 3 FES, or FES, on April 22nd, 2008, when I bought that on release. And all that was an expanded version of Persona 3. To tell you how old that is, it is during the alternative rock station in Michigan 89X when initially I had Dave and Chuck the Freak before I got syndicated and played I Kissed the Girl from Katy Perry on alternative rock stations. So that's how long it's been since we thought about Persona 3 and any sort of glow up. Again, Reload released in February 2nd of 2024, and again I played it, just finishing it yesterday, Valentine's Day. And I got it for $20 because of the Christmas sale and all that. This game was worth $70 if you played it up on the side, and let me tell you why. Because Persona 3 Reload takes everything from FES, so all the expanded stuff there with more voice and other parts of cutscenes and other social links. But Persona 3 Reload adds the battle system more so from 5 than 4. And what I mean by that is when you get the extra turn, you get the baton pass, you're able to give direct orders to your teammates, so you're no longer going to have Mitsuru spam any charm or confuse when enemies cannot be charmed or confused. You can give everybody direct orders and have it set that way with the baton pass and the Persona 5 combat system, which is really nice. And then 3 Reload also gives you access to Theurgy systems, which are just super moves. So for Akihiko, that is electric, with the Jack Frost gloves, he's able to give you severe electric attacks or anything else when you start building up the persona that ignores enemy resistances. Junpei is going to be your damage dealer. Yukari is one of the best friends that you can have as far as getting anything for healing, because it also cuts her costs and even less than half. So really nice there, and there is some really good skills all the way across. I think every teammate has been balanced, and especially if you use Yukari as well, the bow attacks where she goes, please don't miss, in the PS2 side, they don't miss now. They've been rebalanced, unless you go with a lot of other weapons that don't have a lot of accuracy. So there is some good proponents there, because you have the clean combat system of P5 with the orders and Theurgies and a glow up that runs in flawless 4K. Again, this is the review of the PS5 version. I'm sure you're going to get some extra frames on the PC side depending on how good all that stuff is, but this game ran flawlessly and I had no issues. So with Reload, you get that graphical glow up. You get the P5 battle system with Theurgies. You get everything else now completely voiced, with the side of just random asides when you're going across like Port Island Station or some of the other areas and you talk to some NPCs that don't need to be voiced at all. Really everything else is. The only thing that's not in this game is Fem MC, so the female MC. You're going to play with Makoto, the blue hair, and finish that across the board, and the male route that it typically always was between P3 and FES. Portable on PSP took out a lot of the other venturing to a point-and-click system, but you did have a female relationship side that allowed you to go ahead and explore other avenues of the game. I never played that one, so I never got the chance to see any of those. Maybe I should check out the cutscenes on YouTube sometime. But this is a really good purchase. Again, I'm playing this just after Christmas on the sale for 20 bucks. And even if I go ahead and let's just say it this way, from FES, you called it the Journey. That was the main game mode that you're playing in Persona 3 Reload anyway. It's the full game. And then the other part of it was called The Answer. This one now you can find it in the Xbox, PlayStation Store, Steam as Episode Igus. And it's the same thing from The Answer with all the voice acting and everything else in there too. I think Episode Igus is going to set you back about 35 bucks. So even if you got this one on sale like I did at 20, it would still be about 55, 60 bucks, which is almost full price. I don't know if I can recommend Episode Igus to you, and I don't want to say that in a negative way, because I did play everything fully on FES, and maybe it's not worth 35 bucks to me. I don't think I'm going to purchase it. I think the full game enough with the review is good enough for me, but it's there for you, or you could just watch all the cutscenes on YouTube, which I might do after this. So, you have all that stuff there, and then the one thing I want to say in the mix is Persona 3 does a great job in the relationship system as it always does, and the one thing that's really cool about Reload is it takes some of the actors and actresses that were in P3 and just shuffles them around to different characters. So Michelle Ruff now does all the stuff for Yukari, and I think that was a great job, a good change, and you still have the original voice actress working in the antique shop on the side of it. I just think you had to kind of make some of those changes to actually make her sound like the 16-year-old, 17-year-old that she is, rather than like a 35, 40-year-old. There's just different things that they had to do. They kind of changed a little bit as far as what would make sense, but the script and everything else is the same. You just have the different gameplay with the glow up and all that too to kind of add it in. So if you have the P5 feel, it's right there for you. But what I really like about Persona 3 more so than 4 and 5 is the story. So you go into the Dark Hour, which hits every night at midnight, and you explore the Dungeon of Tartarus. You got about 250 floors. You're going to get more teammates as you go, and you're going to figure out just what the heck it's all about. There is some really good twists and turns. Yes, you still have Igor with you as far as your main character to help you kind of develop your personas as you level up. You'll still pick and choose what skills you want to be able to go up against certain bosses, and there's challenge there if you want. There's merciless difficulty if you want. There's a lot to be able to work with. It's typical of any kind of turn-based RPG, exploiting weaknesses and doing all that, but with the relationship aspect, and that's what I always liked about it. But the story is really good. The characters are really good. The voice acting is excellent. I think if you have any idiosyncrasies for like Mitsuru or some of the annoying voice that you have there, all those things are fixed. You still kind of go with the same dialect and voice that you have there, but it's a little bit, not up pitch, but it's changed enough to the point where it makes sense and fits everything else, and everything just works very well. Again, initially when this game came out, as I've told you from beating Fez, I'm thinking, is this really enough for me to go ahead and justify and play this again for 70 bucks? I should have bought this game right when it came out. It's absolutely tremendous. I know it's a little bit smaller in scale as far as moving around or some of the things you can do, like in P4 when you can ride a motorcycle, or P5 when all the dungeons are completely different and you got grappling hooks and things like that. Again, you're just going to be walking upstairs. The only downside really to P3 is just the gameplay side for the floors in Tartarus. It's all the same with a different musical pitch. But that's really what the game is, and that's the most of the time you're going to be spending your time in your dungeons. But if you get the rarity fortune, you fight those hands, and you get the XP and the coins, not too bad. You're not going to be grinding too much, but you're going to have to, I would say, make 120 hours time if you want to go ahead and finish this. I know it's a lot, but in comparison to the story from 3, I would say the characters from 4, and then the graphics and just the art style of 5, I think 3 is probably the best one as far as the story, and it's going to hit you right in the feels. If you've never played Persona 3, this is an absolute gut punch as far as everything else in the end, and I just want to showcase this here with Koromaru. Okay, so in FES, I didn't use the Shina Ibu very much as far as the dog. It's one of the most beautiful that you have there, but Koromaru, I used him a lot in P3 Reload, and I got really choked up in this cutscene there when he asks him, what do you want to do in the end? He already lost his friend that used to be able to keep him safe, and the priest at the shrine. and he wants to stay with the main character, and he gave him his old collar to be able to help symbolize everything else to their relationship. And there's a lot of other things that happen too, and it'll hit you in the heartstrings again. And I do want to mention this as well. Characters aside, I don't want to try to play favorites or anything else, but I always liked, especially from the initial P3, Yukari's character, Yukari Takaba, because just a normal character as far as a normal human being that had to deal with, loss and things like that, just like the main character did, and just like a lot of the things that you'll see in the story. And I know it's the Lover's Arcana, and you want to try to usually in Persona games match up with that, but I think her character and the main character, I know it's written well, but it's one of those things I think clicks, and the Christmas date and everything else I think clicks. And then I would go ahead and say as well for Chichiro for student council, if you can end up getting those type of girls, I know that some of the stuff isn't realistic, like Tifa Lockhart's a video game character, right? You're never going to get those type of girls in real life, but Shiori is one of the cool ones, or Chichiro, I should say. Again, may not mix my names up. As far as student council, that I really, really enjoy, because when you see that in P4 and you see her there when they go back to GeckoCon as far as a school field trip to kind of show you some things, her story arc is pretty darn cool. But those are the type of girls that I think are absolutely gorgeous. But Yukari is definitely the best one as far as getting everything together for a storyline and fitting in, because it's absolutely heartbreaking. And then when you think about playing episode Aegis or The Answer, then you kind of know why I'm saying that. P3 is not going to penalize you for cheating, just like I say in Mass Effect or anything else. P4 is going to make you feel like a freaking jerk, and P5 can be funny. But if you're going to pick one, stay faithful, and then use a guide. I'll link the guide into the description. You don't need paper guides anymore. You can just look right on your phone and follow it. And I'll put a link in. Talk to you guys soon.